Welcome everybody. Tonight we are going to go through, of course, like we said in the title there, pandemics and more other stuff. I'm Dr. Mike Bucknell.
I'm Dr. Jordan Moore.
And we're going to cover a lot of different topics tonight. And, of course, we're going to start with the big one. We're going to start with the coronavirus and, what is all this stuff and what do you really need to know, when we look at all the hype and everything that's surrounding this topic right now, because you have two sides to the story where, on one end, it seems everybody is freaking out. On the other end, you see people, even doctors, saying this is not justified in the hype. Right? That there's just so much going on that why are we creating such a hype storm over something that could happen? So of course that's what we want to start with tonight is what's really going on behind the scenes and what's the real topics that need to be covered so that you can of course keep your family safe. We all want to stay safe. We're not at the same time making a joke of it.
Yeah.
But you really have to take this stuff with a grain of salt too. I mean, we're not going to make fun of it, but at the same time, we're going to have fun with things that need to be.
Yeah, I think that's what it comes down to, because every year it's like there's a new disease that threatens mankind, and it seems to be COVID-19 this year. And, Ebola, swine flu. We've had previous coronaviruses that have emerged, but this one is by far the biggest. But I think when we look at the numbers, it's not quite as bad as we're blowing it out to be.
Yeah, let's talk about the numbers. We actually have the numbers right here. So what we got here, you got something live there. The real numbers here. This is pulled up today. Coronavirus USA updates. Death toll in the United States, it's 22. 607 cases confirmed. Okay, now, granted, of course, there are nearly 100,000 cases of COVID-19 confirmed worldwide. Okay, so there's a lot of cases. Of course, 80,000 of those cases are in China. We have, it's interesting, this map here, that how the red is all over China in that area, but, the U.S., and Alaska, I guess because you got to include that because that's part of the U.S., right? Yeah. There might not even be any cases in Alaska. I don't know. That's a long ways away from the continental U.S. But 51 to 150. But we have and then 151 to 1,000. We have 607 confirmed cases. Okay. So now, is 22 a lot of deaths?
In relation to what?
It's a good question.
Yeah, so from a pandemic, no. For a whole nation of several billion people, no. Compared to other things that kill people, no. But I think the concern and as the hype is it going to get bad? Is it going to eventually become something that is killing millions and millions of people?
And it's tough when you have news reports, and I don't even know if it's news reports. It may be, I know I've heard it from individuals, and who they heard it from, I don't know. I mean, that might have been from Facebook. It might have been from other places. That, you've got China is running out of body bags.
Yeah.
And stuff like this but when you look at the numbers, you don't see that that's really necessarily the case. But of course, hey, it's communist China, so they are hiding it because they're behind it and they want it to happen. And you hear all kinds of stuff.
Well, China was trying to inhibit, communication between people about the virus within its own country. And I do know that our president, on our first death here in the United States, declared it as a state of emergency. So we were quick to action, from just one death and a few cases. and China just let it get out of hand, and more and more people go by in the Wuhan district where the markets are. It just blew up before it was out of control.
Now the markets. Let's talk about the markets. So this is where, they say that the epicenter of it began was in the markets. What is peculiar about these markets?
You can buy anything. You can buy anything you want to eat that's an animal, they'll have it there. Seahorse, they'll have real horse, dog, cat, anything.
But it's clean, it's safe.
Yeah, I'm sure it passes rigorous standards and testing out there.
I mean, they gotta have USDA standards, FDA standards that they adhere to.
I think they're raising these animals on farms and going fishing and then bringing them straight to market is what they do.
Like the tilapia that we buy at Walmart.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. So number one, the problem with this, and we've talked about this. I wrote a newsletter about it recently. Isn't it ironic that it seems every single one of these things that come out, and whether it's Ebola or it doesn't matter what it is, the Black Plague, all of these things seem to come from things that we say you should not eat.
Oh,
okay?
yeah.
Ebola was bushmeat, okay, which is bats.
Yeah.
And then, of course, they come out and they say, well, the coronavirus was likely from eating snakes. And, it might be bats. Or, but it's all these things that we shouldn't be eating. Like, this is not food. I mean, we know that the Black Plague, that was from people eating rats.
Mm-hmm.
So when we eat things that are not for consumption, just because something is edible. I mean, you can eat a cardboard box.
Yeah, just because it's edible doesn't mean it's food.
It doesn't mean it's food. And it doesn't mean we should be eating it just because of animals. I heard recently that Venezuela, because of the poverty levels there, that somebody told me that their zoos are now empty.
Yeah, they've eaten all the animals.
Because they've eaten all the animals. Because their people are starving. And, this is a cultural problem. The fact that we think, when we think of food, I have a whole workshop on this on the YouTube channel called The Owner's Manual that talks about, at least from a biblical perspective, what is food and what is not. And these things are definitely not food.
Yeah. That is a good workshop. It talks about, how something it wasn't considered food and now we consider it as a society just because it is edible.
Yeah.
We really shouldn't be eating it.
Definitely not. So 22 out of 607.
Mm-hmm.
Fairly enough, that is a good number of deaths.
Yes.
But does that even tell us the whole story?
No.
Of course not. I mean, we don't know what is in that 22 deaths other than what seems to be a common factor.
Oh, it's the diet. It's the food where it's coming from, as well as.
Well, as far as the 22 deaths,
it's usually elderly people, immunosuppressed people.
And this is terrible because I have heard people crack jokes. I think it was on the soccer field. Crack jokes about, oh, no worries, this is the old people virus. And stuff like that. That's a terrible thing to say. I mean, come on. Either way, it doesn't matter what we're talking about. Guys, understand, we're not discounting 22 people dying. You shouldn't discount any deaths that are happening from anything. But to use the deaths of people to push an agenda, that's a whole different ballgame of dirty.
Oh, yeah. You see it a lot, though. When you play on people's emotions, people will push toward their sympathies like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And what do we also know about those 22? 16 of them, right, were from the same facility.
19 in Washington. There was 20 on the West Coast combined. One in Santa Rosa. I'm not sure where the last one was from. I think it was another county in Florida.
Right.
But 20 of those 22 were out on the West Coast.
But 16 of them, I think, was in the same building.
Yep.
It was in the same nursing home.
Yeah.
So why is nobody investigating that nursing home and talking about what's going on there? Because to me that seems a little bit fishy. that 16 people in the same nursing home get this and all die.
Yeah.
What's going on with the care there?
Yeah.
And
it's more like sick care than keeping people healthy.
So if we take that out of the equation, we're down to 6.
Yeah.
We take that one building out, we're down to 6 in the entire United States, out of 607 cases. Now, that's still what? Well, that's 1%.
Oh yeah.
1% of the total number that end in deaths. Is that scary?
Well, I have the exact percentages here.
Let's go.
From ages 10 to 39, your risk of dying if you contract COVID-19 is 0.2%. From age 40 to 49, it's 0.4%. 50 to 59, 1.3%. Ages 60 to 69, it's 3.6%. Ages 70 to 79, 8%. And 80 onwards, it's 14.8%. And I think the thing is there, it's not so much if you're 80, you have a 14% chance of dying. I think it's if you're 80 and you're immunosuppressed, if you have coronary heart disease, if you have some other lung issues, that's really where you start to see these deaths because COVID-19 attacks through the lungs. It's the ACE2 enzyme, angiotensin converting enzyme. Is found in the alveoli of the lungs. That's where, if you breathe it in, it inhabits that enzyme, tends to live in it, and they become the host for this infection. And if you get it in one lung, you're likely to get it in the next because breathing some of your own air. And older people don't have as much elasticity, especially ones who smoke, and they're more likely to catch something like this and it be severe.
And then the other factor to that as well is what kind of care do you get?
Oh, in a nursing home?
Huh?
In a nursing home?
Yeah. In a nursing home or just, even if you are elderly, is the care of a sick elderly individual different than the care of a 16-year-old or a 35-year-old or even a 50-year-old?
I think
absolutely.
Yeah, I think disease is expected more in the medical field from someone older. And obviously there's a whole range of diseases that you lean toward in someone older than versus a kid, 16, 17.
Well, and even culturally, we tend to, we see that your older population seems to accept care in a different way than especially the millennials, right? You look far down, a span difference. You got the millennial population who, honestly, let's just look at who's going to be viewers of something like this. It's going to attract much more attention from people who obviously don't trust the system.
Yeah.
And your older patients, they tend to trust the system much, much more. So they're going to accept care because it's standard of care.
Yeah.
But what is that standard of care?
It's not great, and they're stuck in a lot of older paradigms. So accepting a kind of new belief, if we talk about vitamin C therapy, if we talk about glutathione, or something new in the medical field that hasn't quite been adopted yet, for whatever reasons, I feel like they're not going to lean toward that. They're going to go more for the medications, whatever, trust them, MD, as opposed to the younger ones who would seek out other ways to treat it naturally, almost.
Because after all, the experts don't lie.
Oh, yeah.
They don't, right?
Whether they know they are or not.
When you see the reports all over the media and they're all the same thing, it can't be wrong.
Yeah.
It just can't be.
Okay.
Yeah. So, all right.
The amount of sarcasm in this
six.
Already.
Yeah. 607 deaths. Do you have anything else you got to add before we look at deaths? As a general perspective of what is a big number of deaths?
Well, I kind of wanted to add in the symptoms. Like 86% has a fever. Dry cough is the second most. Fatigue, 38%. The symptoms are rather ambiguous as well, and the testing, just not until the last few weeks, has been readily available as well. And so, people could have had it and gotten over it and been fine. We don't know that. I just want to preface that before moving forward. But now that everyone's minds are on this, I feel like everyone's going to be calling the CDC when they have a cough and trying to get access to those tests.
And anytime you see someone, I mean, you see reports of people getting beat up in the subways because they coughed and because they were Asian.
Yeah. Oh, there has been discrimination.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. So, and of course, if you, what do you do? Because if you wear a mask, then people assume you're sick and they want to run away from you, but if you don't wear a mask, then you're naive, because you're going to get sick and you're going to get, God help you if you cough, because you're going to get someone else sick. It's just, these are the questions that you would never see in a rational situation.
No, you wouldn't.
And does 22 deaths in 600 total cases in the entire United States, does that sound rational?
Not for the way people are acting, no.
At the moment, it does not. Okay, so deaths in the United States. This, this is a big thing because, again, we don't want to undercut 22 deaths. For those 22 families, it's a big thing. But we've got to look at this from a population standpoint, okay? And Johns Hopkins University researchers estimate that heart disease kills 614,000 people a year. 614,000 people a year. So how much attention is in the media right now about the necessity to get rid of fried chicken and fryers at all the restaurants? Because we know that crap's bad for you.
Well, if anything, it's the opposite. I'm seeing commercials for a new chicken sandwich with donuts as the buns.
Oh, I haven't heard of that. That sounds delicious.
I don't know if I can say it was for what restaurant, but yeah, that was on my TV yesterday. So I think it's the opposite.
I probably wouldn't know what restaurant that is anyways.
Yeah, I think people are encouraged to go out and eat that and desire things like that as opposed to, focus on a thing that kills 614,000 people a year.
Okay, so for the record, since nobody else is talking about it, we'll talk about it, guys. You should definitely look at cutting back on your fried foods because heart disease kills 614,000 Americans every year. Fair enough? So we just did a good thing there of a big problem. And of course, that's not the only issue, but that's a big one. Is the processed oils and everything, and the fact that people are eating things that the body can't digest. I mean, you take that oil and you pour it down your throat, it's gonna do nothing but congest your system. I mean, if you want to see what a mess that those oils make, take some of that and dump some of it on your carpet. And let's see how easy it is to clean up.
For the record, for the people watching, which oils are you talking about?
Canola oil, vegetable oil, soybean oil.
Okay.
I mean, even peanut oil and, all the stuff that basically if you're eating at a restaurant and you're eating things that are dumped in deep fat fryers, that's what we're talking about. We're not, do you know of any restaurants that are cooking things in coconut oil?
Oh, Red Bar.
Yeah, that's true. Yes, but that's pretty much the only one, right?
Yeah, it is.
So yeah, I mean, if you take those oils and you pour them out across the floor, or you put them on your clothes, they don't come out. They don't come clean, and yet we're under this delusion that you can put that stuff in your body every day, not realizing that the microvilli of your intestines are like a fine carpet. I mean, it's just coated with these millions and millions of little tiny projections that are there as a brush border to digest your food. And yet you're coating them with a slick of grease. And yet we think that, oh yeah, we're fine. We'll be okay. It can digest.
And with that, the oxidative stress that these oils go through, they're already liquid at room temperature. So when you heat them up and fry them, it's a bunch of free radicals. It causes oxidative stress and stuff in the body.
And what might oxidative stress be?
It causes inflammation.
Inflammation, which leads to?
Heart disease.
And?
Inflammation.
Inflammation leads to the next big one, cancer.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. So oxidative stress is stress on the cells. And of course, what you need in order to balance out the stress on the cells, you need antioxidants. And, so we've got this whole other issue, which kills 591,000 Americans a year, and that's cancer. How much attention on that is in the media right now?
More than heart disease.
More than heart disease.
But yeah, compared to corona.
It's not getting the same press.
No.
Yet. Unfortunately, I guarantee you at least 22 people died just here in our town today.
Oh, guaranteed.
Just today. But you don't hear anything about it because it's not buzz.
Yeah.
It's just normal. This is a standard issue. The next one, nobody talks about, but this is big. The third leading cause of death in America is medical error. Now, this is interesting because we've got a virus that is new, that we don't really have a whole lot of testing for.
Yeah.
What's the treatment for it?
They don't know.
We don't know.
Yeah.
We don't have a treatment. Maybe take some antiviral drugs. We'll try some different antiviral drugs. Oh, but wait, we're going to work on a vaccine. Yeah. So we're going to work on a vaccine, and then once we get the vaccine, we're going to cure the planet, right? Just like we did with Ebola, and just like we did with this and that and the other, and measles and polio, and all these. We're going to fix it all with a vaccine, guys. Medical error is the number 3 cause of death in the United States. I mean, you think about that for a second. It's the treatment that's causing the deaths. So when something is new and unproven, just because it comes out of medicine, then does that make it safe?
It doesn't. No.
No. They're the third leading cause of death.
And we could get political, and we could talk about the funding of these research studies.
Now, what does politics have to do with it?
Well, politics has a lot to do with it. I don't know what you watch or who you watch. Yesterday, number 2 trending on Twitter was #Trump virus. So he is being blamed for this virus somehow.
Wait, Trump didn't start it?
No, I'm sorry, he didn't start it. Even though it originated out of China, Paul Krugman was the name of the guy. I don't know if he's a CNN analyst or what, but he's got that trending on Twitter yesterday. Also, Bill Mayer states that he would like to see a recession because the stock markets haven't been doing so great. But the stock market hasn't been doing so great. He would like to see a recession. This includes people losing jobs. People not eating as much or people not going out. He wants to see it to hurt Trump. And so I don't care which side of the political aisle you lean on. That's a real crappy thing to say about, you hope people lose their jobs just to hurt one man.
But I'm sure he's not going to go hungry.
Oh, no. It's easy to say when you have millions of dollars.
It's much easier to say from that seat.
But with this dip in the stock market, it'd be a great time to buy one, buy some stock on sale because it's going to recover. As soon as all this mess is over and the overhypeness is gone, there will be recovery. Same with swine flu, same with the recession. It dipped in 50% in 2008.
Swine flu? What's that?
Swine flu? You don't remember the swine flu?
Oh!
Ebola, Zika.
How could I forget about the swine flu?
Yeah, that's. I think we had 1,000 deaths in America before that was declared a state of emergency. So we were a little late on that one, but it wasn't overhyped.
No,
it wasn't overhyped.
I mean, it's not like local schools were talking about putting vaccination clinics in the school.
But they were. And that's another thing. The vaccines with these diseases.
I got in trouble for that,
For what?
For messing with the schools and the fact that they were even thinking about putting it in the schools. I started a little bit of messiness on Facebook, and they luckily they decided not to. But yeah, I remember that.
Okay. The school system. So yeah, back to what we were talking about. There's been a lot of celebrities, a lot of leading news analysts and a lot of op-eds that they just don't want to see this thing get better before the election cycle ends.
Yeah.
And I know the vaccine as well. They're expediting it, starting trials this year in animals, and in humans next year. But I think by then this will all be over. I mean, you're seeing cases in China skyrocketed when information was being suppressed, and then it tended to even out, and now the rest of the world's catching up, and the recovery is just exponential.
Oh yeah. By the way, I didn't tell you this. Good news. Our manufacturer that we buy some products from over in China, or for our laser machine, they're back to work.
Are they?
So we can actually get our stuff.
Well, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, and all your AliExpress packages, they should be coming back because they're all back to work. So apparently things are normalizing there,
Right.
you know, and people are getting back to life.
Interesting.
So that's good.
Talking
Your
about
package will come soon.
I saw pictures of I guess it was Hawaii or the Wuhan area. They had pollution every day, and now that they took a few days, a few weeks off work, they can see blue skies again for the first time in like 20 years. They can actually see the sky again. So, that's kind of a neat little.
So pollution might have something to do with it too.
It very well could be because
Wait,
it is a lot.
So environment affects your health?
Yes.
Oh man, we're tapping all kinds of crazy notions today.
Yeah, it's because this virus does attack through the lungs, and the healthier lungs you have in the first place, less likely you're probably going to get it.
Tiffany Jones says volume on the workshop is a little low, my dude. Good content though. So
Thanks,
we're just, by the way, guys, if you have any comments, go ahead and put them on there. If you have any questions, we'll try to address them. For Dr. Tiffany Jones, we'll just say, crank that volume, baby.
Crank that volume.
Crank that volume. Turn it up. All right. Next one on the list, respiratory disease, 147,000. Accidents, 136,000. Stroke, 133,000. Alzheimer's, 93,000. Diabetes, 76,000. Flu and pneumonia. Now, wait a minute. Flu and pneumonia, 55,000. There's 55,000 deaths annually from the flu. Why are we not talking about the flu? And instead we're talking about coronavirus that's killed 22.
I think you can't get people hyped up about the flu because we know what it is. I think there's no mystery to it, as opposed to corona, something new, something seemingly more deadly. That's my take on it. Pneumonia as well. We know pneumonia to be in people that have immunocompromised systems. That's my take on it. The flu is old news. Yeah, even though it does kill many, many more people. And I think a lot of medical doctors would agree the flu needs to have, in their minds, more, a little bit more viewing.
Do you think it might have to do with the fact that we have a flu shot?
Oh, well, yeah, there's no money in there as well.
Yeah.
There's no more money.
But let's make a prediction right now. What do you think will happen when they come out with a universal flu vaccine?
What do I think will happen?
Yeah. What do you think will happen with the coverage of the flu when they come out with a universal flu vaccine?
I think the coverage will be on the vaccine versus the disease.
Yeah.
I think it'll be pushed.
But you think they're gonna, all of a sudden, flu season is gonna take on a new meaning?
Oh.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right? Because now they'll have something new to sell. So all of a sudden, we won't be talking about coronavirus. We'll probably be talking about flu.
Yeah.
That they'll be talking about the fact that, can you believe 55,000 Americans are dying from the flu every year? And it's completely and totally unnecessary because we have the answer now, because we have a universal flu vaccine. So we have to stop this. And across the aisles, doesn't matter your political party, we have the answer. Nobody needs to die anymore. You need to go out, and it's going to be plastered everywhere.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
Yeah, I think it'll also be, I know a lot of MDs do recommend them for pregnant women as well, but I think they'll really be pushed a little harder every single year, as opposed to, measles you don't have to get every year, or it kind of, I don't know if that would change, because if it's universal, it should cover you from every year here on out. The thing is, now they can make a new one each year, and profit that way.
And you mentioned pregnant women, who used to be, you did not have to get a flu shot if you were a pregnant woman. So times change, huh? Next one on the list, kidney disease, 48,000. Next one on the list, suicide, 42,000. Now that one's really disturbing, because we have 42,000 people that are dying from suicide, being miserable. And do you think that it's a good idea that we are telling everybody how awful, the world is falling apart and everything, when we have 42,000 people that are already suicidal?
No, I think that's a big issue as well. Having someone take their own life is definitely not, a good thing. But as well as all the panic, if people have a lot of money in the stock market, I know the financial troubles are a huge thing in that as well. And that and family issues drive suicide rates. I don't think it's not a good idea to have all this panic for something that people should not really be getting worked up about. I think you will see a lot more anxiety attacks. Sunlight's not out yet. Vitamin D levels are still pretty low, so people are probably a little more depressed. Mental statuses just aren't up there yet. I think you might see that rise the more worried people get. In Y2K, people were mercy killing their children. I've heard about that as well, to try to prevent them from having to deal with what comes next. And in the end, nothing happens every single time.
A little happened.
Yeah.
Except for Y2K.
Y2K, nothing.
Y2K, nothing happened. I don't think anything happened. So thanks, Bill Maher, for wanting the stock market to crash, because real people lose money. And we're going to see that suicide rate jump as a result of it.
His guest actually brought up the point, this is going to hurt families. This is going to make people lose jobs. And Bill Maher said, I just don't care. I don't care. And the guy was like, yeah, that's a bad thing to say. He's like, I don't care.
That's a terrible thing to say.
Yeah, it is.
All right, the Washington Post. Most coronavirus cases are mild, complicating the response. This was from February 12th. So, you start to see things like this, that, it's nice to see that there's some truth coming out in some papers here and there, even if it's the Washington Post. But pointing out that most of these cases are small. They're light. How many of you, show a raise of hands in your houses, have had the flu? We've all had the flu. And do we get the flu and we're like, oh man, this is it. This is going to be I have to protect my family. It's like we get the flu, we're sick for a few days.
Yeah.
And it's not really that big a deal. Now, if you get awful medical care, or you're already, chronically ill, now you're going to have a much bigger issue with the flu. But in a healthy individual, which we need to talk about, that's a totally different ballgame. So we're going to see this is the same thing, that in healthy individuals, the coronavirus is mild. You're not going to see it any more than the flu, probably not a whole lot more than a common cold if you're actually really healthy.
Well, it was over half, 87, and then percent get the fever, 67 get the dry cough, and then the next symptom is fatigue at 38%. So from there on, the symptoms get more severe, all the way down to sore throat and muscle pain at 14% apiece. But the symptoms will be just fever and dry cough.
To me, muscle pain, I get that after soccer.
Right, yeah. I think it'd be unwarranted, maybe from coughing, but the thing is, that would make me seek out a coronavirus test as well. Like, if I had a little bit of a fever and a dry cough, in my mind. But the Washington Post, and then the New York Post, New York Times at the same time had an op-ed about, they also pushed to rename this virus the Trump virus. I hate to bring it back to the political, but two sides of the story there.
Yeah, this actually says in the article, so far, about 82% of the cases, including all 14 in the United States, have been mild, with symptoms that require little or no medical intervention. And that proportion may be an undercount. Why would it be an undercount?
For conservative, just to make it conservative.
Or because we just don't know, right? Because if you get a little sniffle or something like that and your body is well engaged to be able to defend against it, you're not going to go and get tested. I mean, if I, when was the last time I went to the doctor?
Which doctor?
A doctor. You know, a doctor,
Doctor.
right? A doctor.
That is a great point. That is a great point.
I mean, I haven't been to an MD since I was like 17.
Yeah.
40 now.
You haven't had to.
That's 23 years. So if I have some symptoms, you know, and they're mild symptoms, you know, I'm not going to go running out and say, oh man, I wonder, you know, I need to get tested. Or, you know, so I could have, like you said earlier, I could have had it or could have it and get it. And because they're mild symptoms, that's not that big a deal. Not going to know it.
No, and that's a good point. So I think if there's more cases like yours, obviously there'd be no reported disease.
You say like yours, now be careful.
If you had it.
I don't have
If you had it.
the coronavirus. I don't.
If you had it and you sort of treated yourself or your body naturally fought it off, which is a thing, it would be reported. So of course the results of people who die from coronavirus would be a little bit skewed.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be a little bit less lethal than they're saying.
Yeah. Probably more than a little bit. Probably a lot. Because I'm willing to bet, like most things, only about 10% are reported. Right? I mean, we look in the vaccination realm, they say that less than 10% of vaccine reactions are reported.
Yeah.
In fact, it could be far less. They say it could be as little as 1% of vaccine reactions are reported, which means 99% of reactions are either too mild to report because, you know, the parent doesn't realize that the kid develops a small twitch or has muscle spasms or they get a little fever or something like that. They just don't know, or they attribute it to something else. You know, they don't ever connect, you know, even if, you know, the kid has a seizure, they don't connect that it's actually because of that. And so it gets reported as something else.
Yeah.
You know, so we could be talking the numbers in China could be vastly higher than what they actually are, you know, but we don't know, you know. So of course that death rate now looks a lot smaller when you calculate that in. All right, so I find this interesting. You talked about swine flu. Of course, I remember swine flu, and the little gist about that. When that was going around, they were talking at a local school that they were going to. I got wind of it that they were going to put a swine flu vaccination clinic in the school. That they were going to start giving the shots in the school to the students when there were like no cases in Alabama. Yeah. And so I went on a bit of a rant and made, you know, we made signs and I had a magnet, you know, that, and we had like, I think t-shirts and stuff like that. And I was pissed. I was honestly, because I have a lot of students that go to that school and it actually came down to the, you know, one of the heads called me and said, please, you know, let's back down off this. We were talking about it, but we decided not to. And I said, thank you. And, you know, that was that. And that was that with the swine flu too, ironically.
Yeah.
It disappeared just like everything else. So in 2002, West Nile virus is going to kill us all. In 2003, SARS is going to kill us all. In 2005, you remember the bird flu was going to kill us all. In 2006, E. coli, right? That, you know, E. coli was in all of your spinach and stuff and was going to kill you. In 2008, the bad economy is going to kill us all. And it did for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, 2008 was pretty bad. I mean, we saw, and it took a long time to recover. That was real. I mean, you know, but at the end of the day, what did you say is going to happen?
It's going to recover.
It's going to recover. It's going to recover. It's not going to last forever.
Yeah.
2009, swine flu is going to kill us all. 2010, the BP oil spill is going to kill us all. right? And we were right in the middle of it. Most of you guys out there watching, you have no idea what that was even about, but that was in our backyard. I had patients coming in who had some of the weirdest things I've ever seen, from exposure to chemicals and stuff. And it was crazy. But, we personally, we didn't eat any fish out of the bay for like 2 years.
Yeah.
We didn't touch anything. And I still tell patients, if you're eating shrimp out of the bay, you're crazy.
Especially your filter feeders. Yeah. You need to probably avoid those still.
Any of the bottom feeders, they're still dining off that stuff. Not to mention all the, they talk about all the nitrogen runoff that comes down the Mississippi River.
From fertilizers?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, when you look at all of that, all of the fertilizer that goes in, it's disturbing.
Yeah.
And you got to think all that Roundup and everything else in there. That's all going in there too. 2012, we're getting a little bit more recent. The Mayan calendar, that one was funny. The Mayan calendar is going to kill us all. So if you guys don't remember that one, the Mayan calendar ended in 2012. So people actually believe that the Mayans somehow had a vision into the future and knew that the apocalypse was going to happen in 2012.
Yeah, I think they ran out of room on the calendar. And then we took it a bit too far, yeah?
Yeah. Oh, a bit. Yeah. Yeah. They used to play soccer with heads too, right? I think they did. Yeah. Those were some sane folks. 2013, North Korea is going to kill us all. The same North Korea that was shaking Trump's hand, right?
I think so.
That was the same guy.
The same one.
Yeah. 2014, Ebola virus is going to kill us all. 2015, Disney, measles, and ISIS are going to kill us all. And it cut off my list there, but you can recall some of the other things that have happened since then. So basically, it's every year something's going to kill us all.
Yeah.
The media has to have something to talk about when they have nothing to talk about.
We've had Zika as well.
Zika, that was last year.
Just last year.
Remember that?
It just kind of dropped off.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Zika. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems to be the trend.
World Health Organization reveals underlying concerns over the safety of vaccines. So, why am I talking about this? Because they're going to come up with a vaccine. During December 2nd and 3rd, 2019, the World Health Organization held a global vaccine safety summit in Geneva, Switzerland. It was billed as an event for vaccine safety stakeholders. Attendees included current and former members of the Global Advisory Committee on Vaccine Safety, which provides independent, authoritative, scientific advice to the World Health Organization on vaccine safety issues of international concern that may have a short or long-term impact on national vaccine programs. And then a bunch of other people and institutions and everything, pharmaceutical companies, technical partners, they all came to it too. So some of the things that came out of this symposium, if you will, is things saying like, there's a lot of safety science that's needed. Without the good science, we can't have good communication. So although I'm talking about all the other contextual issues and communication issues, it absolutely needs the science as the backbone. You can't repurpose the same old science to make it sound better if you don't have the science that's relevant to the new problems that we face. So they're basically in a room of the elite organizations that are heading all of the vaccine safety programs. And what is their message? We need to stop recycling the old science as if it's relevant, and we need to actually do research. What does that tell you about safety in vaccines?
It's old science, yeah.
Can we even call it science? If they're on the stage saying, we need science. Guys, read between the lines. It's telling you, we don't have the science. And yet, vaccines are safe and effective.
Yeah, I think the science is out there. It's been nitpicked. Yeah, people only pick the studies that they want to look at.
Even though there's how many studies that show that there's a downside to vaccines, that they're not safe and effective.
Personally, I have a collection of 1,200.
12. Ooh, 12.
Well, it's for the different ingredients and how some of them interact with each other. So, like formalin and the Tdap and phenol and the pneumococcal are both recommended for pregnant women, and they interact with each other. On the MSDS for phenol, it says don't mix with formaldehyde. That's literally in both shots that you give pregnant women. And it says it's up to your medical doctor whether to give this or not. The thing is, the medical doctors don't know that there's an interaction between these two ingredients. Things like that. Each one of these adjuvants has their own risks, and when you throw them all together, it just gets worse. It gets worse.
So there's 1,200 studies that you just said that you know that talk about vaccines not being safe. That's twice as many cases. Twice as many as the cases that we have of coronavirus in the United States right now.
Yeah,
by the numbers. So but we're not gonna talk about it at all. Vaccines are safe and effective, right? Another quote here. I think we cannot overemphasize the fact that we really don't have very good safety monitoring systems in many countries. And this adds to the miscommunication and the misapprehensions because we're not able to give clear-cut answers when people ask questions about the deaths that have occurred due to a particular vaccine. Wait, I thought they were safe. But they're saying from the deaths that have occurred from a vaccine. Their concern is, how do we talk to people about the deaths? But I thought they were safe and effective.
Yeah, I think they're thinking, and they all know the research. They know just what bad these can do, but they know that the public perception isn't there yet. Like, it's basically how to mitigate the damages and how to keep people from really looking into it. And when they do look into it, they're kind of labeled as loony bins, It's starting to change nowadays. People are getting more informed, but you have just as harsh of a reaction from your own community. People who aren't doctors that have really, really heavily biased opinions,
I say all the time now, I've said it in multiple workshops, vaccination has become a religion. It's not a scientific argument anymore. People don't care about the science. It is literally a religion. Like, you either believe in it or you don't. And if you believe in it, you're not going to change your minds because they don't care about the science. If you don't believe in it, you're not going to change their mind because, and the question becomes, does this have to be religious? Why does it have to be treated as if it was a religion that you just have to mindlessly believe one way or another? Because in reality, the logic and the information and everything is there.
Yes.
I mean, I understand. You might be worried that you might get a disease that's been eradicated for 100 years. I mean, I guess I can understand that, right?
Yeah.
But why would you be concerned about the disease that you don't ever see, yet you're not concerned about the potential problems that 70% of parents whose kids have these problems say they know it came from this? It makes no sense.
Yeah, I can see the fear, though, of getting measles, and it's more of a fear of being misinformed or uninformed about the issue. Like, obviously, back then when people would get the measles, there was a much higher mortality rate, and the treatments weren't available that are here today, like vitamin A therapy, which, if you listen to the other workshop, clears out measles, like almost instantly. So I think with the misinformation a lot of parents have, they're fearful because they've seen CDC reported deaths that were already dropping, but they see how high they were at the time and think, if that was my kid, I don't want to risk that. I don't want to. But they're not thinking in terms of today.
That's right. So measles was the thing last year that we were all going to die from.
Yes.
How many deaths were there?
0.
I don't think there were any.
No.
No.
Not here.
No. Curious.
Yeah.
Interesting. So one should be able to give a very factual account of exactly what has happened and what the cause of deaths are, but in most cases there is some obfuscation at that level, and therefore there is less and less trust then in the system. I wonder why. So this is the kind of stuff that we're looking at when they're coming out with all this information about vaccines, and we're looking for a vaccine. So the point is, we want you guys to see that's where a lot of this hype is going. Is they're priming the public for vaccines, because who is the number one donor to the media mob, as some would call it?
Well, you can look it up. It's the drug companies.
It's the drug companies, pharmaceutical companies. You guys watch TV, so you see the drug ads on TV. They're everywhere. They're the number one donor. They give more money, and they lobby the government far, far more than even the oil industry does. So you talk about who the puppeteer is behind the thing. There is a ton of money to be made if they can develop a vaccine, and everybody wins. All the drug companies are going to be in on it, because they can all make, they're in a race against each other, but the hype is good for every one of them that's in the race. If you're playing a soccer game and you've got your team and you've got my team, and we're sitting back and, we're competing against each other, but if someone else is talking about getting media coverage of that game, which is never going to happen. But if they were talking about it, we both win. Even though we're competing against each other, we both are going to be happy about the fact that somebody is going to be trying to cover our game if there's money to be made, because we get the TV coverage, and then that, and then this, and, and eventually it ends up, in your back pocket.
Yeah.
So it's sad, but what is not covered is vitamin C. And we'll kind of end on this note. The government of Shanghai, China, has announced its official recommendation that COVID-19 should be treated with high amounts of intravenous vitamin C. Incredible, isn't it?
I think we must have read the same thing.
Imagine that. Yeah, Shanghai, China. So dosage, that's a small city, right? Where's Shanghai?
It's a very small city.
Shanghai, never heard of it. Dosage recommendations vary with severity of illness from 50 to 200 milligrams per kilogram of body weight per day to as much as 200 milligrams per kilogram per day. These dosages are approximately 4,000 to 16,000 milligrams for an adult, administered by IV. This specific method of administration is important, says intravenous therapy expert, can't say his name, MD, because vitamin C's effect is at least 10 times more powerful by IV than if taken orally. This guy is the president of the Tokyo-based Japanese College of Intravenous Therapy. He says, intravenous vitamin C is safe, effective, and broad-spectrum antiviral. Now, an interesting point to that is, did you know that all kinds of animals carry different forms of coronavirus in that particular strain of virus? And so they say that the reason why those animals don't get sick is because a lot of mammals create their own vitamin C. What is unique about humans?
We do not.
We do not. You have to get it from an outside source. Pretty incredible.
Yeah. I was just going to mention, it's Dr. Richard Cheng. He is a U.S. board certified specialist on anti-aging. He's actually leading the research in China. They're doing trials in hospitals already. And like he was saying with the dosage, I had read 12,000 to 24,000 milligrams per day. Now, the recommended dose in America to meet basic nutritional guidelines is 60 milligrams per day. So 60, out of 24,000, which is used to treat corona over in China.
That sounds like vitamin D dosages.
Yeah, so if you take, emergency?
Or iodine dosages.
I think
or magnesium dosages.
Emergency is probably 1 gram, I think.
Tiny.
Nowhere near what you're going to need. But another thing to mention about this is sugar and vitamin C. Dr. Linus Pauling, a microbiologist, I think it was the 80s or early 80s.
Kind of a famous guy.
He found that glucose and vitamin C have similar structures. There's just 2 bonds on the bottom. I think it's a double bond, or it's a bond with hydrogen and then oxygen versus just one with oxygen. And they're similar structures, but what I'm getting at is they kind of compete. And so the cells will want to reach for vitamin C to help phagocytize or consume a microbe, a virus, or bacteria. and instead it'll grab sugar. It'll grab something that it can't use. And that's another issue, diet. Diet plays a big factor in fighting disease. Not only that, but sugar will cause more free radicals, and overconsumption of sugar will cause you to have more inflammation. And that'll also progress your disease, immunocompromise, and could lead to a little worse of a time having coronavirus.
Which, like research shows, that if you drink a soda, just one soda, it shuts down your immune system for hours. Because of that consumption of soda. Another interesting thing is, that these don't discuss is a new avenue of vitamin C consumption, liposomal vitamin C.
Yes.
This is one particular area that we've been keen on for a long time, years, and it's now starting to get a little bit more mainstream. You're starting to see more. Now, I will tell you this. There's all kinds of companies out there that are selling liposomal vitamin C, and I don't think it's real liposomal vitamin C. When you make liposomal vitamin C, which is actually a pretty easy home recipe to do. I mean, it's simple. It's it's distilled water, some kind of vitamin C. We use acerola cherry powder and sunflower lecithin. And you mix it and you put it in an ultrasonic bath, and you basically just keep it mixing. And so the lecithin binds up and clumps around the vitamin C and encapsulates it, and that protects it in your gut until it gets into the intestines. But the problem is that it's not very stable.
No.
We when we make it in jars, it will stay for 7 to 10 days, and then you see it visibly starting to separate and falling out of solution, out of form.
It's like oil and water for people that are wondering. It's one's hydrophobic, one's hydrophilic. So the fat surrounds the water-soluble molecule that your body wants, kind of protects it on its way in through the gut. And then you have a bilayer on the cells, phospholipid bilayer, and it accepts the vitamin C. It's pretty readily available as opposed to just drinking vitamin C, which stomach acid can destroy. You absorb maybe, 20% you said? Very little of vitamin C taken orally.
Right.
And
when it's just standard.
Too much can cause GI issues as well if it's straight ascorbic acid, not butter. So phospholipid, the monolayers, are starting to be used in medications more and more now too.
Yeah.
Put medications in.
Yeah, and it's fascinating because what they found is that this, when you do actual liposomal vitamin C, it has the same absorption rate as intravenous vitamin C. But of course, it's a lot easier and it's a lot cheaper. Mm-hmm. We see the cost of intravenous vitamin C. I have, when I have seen people do it in the past, it can be $200 a session.
Yeah.
$200. You can buy all the equipment that you need. You can buy about a 3-month supply of the ingredients. I mean, you can buy all kinds of stuff for $200, and that's just one session.
Yeah, I've made it myself too. Same formula that you were talking about, acerola cherries, sunflower lecithin. It was under $100. I think the ultrasonic machine was maybe 50,
35, 50, $60 on Amazon, something like that.
Fairly cheap stuff.
Yeah. Just make sure that you have a stainless steel tank.
Yes.
A clean, good, good machine. Another thing too, and I cover this in one of the workshops on cancer. There is a patent. Someone patented a process to actually stabilize it, and they used alcohol in order to do it.
Okay.
I don't know how much alcohol. It's in the patent that I linked in the workshop, that says, you can read exactly how it is. Of course, they patented it so that nobody else could use that form, so that only they could sell that product, So I don't know how these other companies are making liposomal solutions, but I'm just saying I've had some of them, and I really don't think, even from companies that I trust, I don't think they're really liposomal. I don't think that they really have the same, when I took them, they didn't really have the same effect.
No. And if you can't see exactly what's going on, most companies would try to cut costs, and
Yeah.
unless it's someone you can really trust, I would make it myself.
Yeah. So if you guys are curious on that as far as how to make it yourself, just message us. I'd be glad to send you the recipe. I mean, it's so simple. It's not, it's not something that you should have to buy, and put, profits in other people's pockets in order to make on your own. Whenever we have people buy, things such as that, I always tell them, hey, you can make this on your own. Like you don't need to pay more for it. Just make it on your own. Convenience is a factor too, but you can save money, by just making it yourself. So that's a big thing. Anything else to add?
That was pretty much it. As far as building up the immune system, I mean, there's some things you can do. Adequate sleep, vitamin D, especially in the winter months. If you're not getting enough sunlight, get out there and get that sunlight. There's several other things.
I'm pre-ripping the pages.
Oh, are you?
Yeah. See, if you pre-rip the pages, then when you go to rip them afterwards, it's
Much easier.
It's much easier. See, now I can just rip right.
Well, do you have anything else you'd like to say?
No, I mean, I don't want to get political or nothing. I think the big thing to see, we didn't really cover it very much, but the politicizing of this stuff is probably the most exhaustive of all of it. The fact that on both sides of the fence, you're going to see this being politicized because you have wins to be made from the public opinion on both sides. And I think, what we need to do is we need to keep a straight head with all this and know that, until you really see it in your backyard, it's not in your backyard. I mean, we can talk about the danger of feral cats and pythons in your backyard. I mean, it could happen.
Mm-hmm.
It could happen. There's pythons in people's backyards.
Yeah.
But it's not my backyard. I don't think so. And I haven't heard of any of my neighbors having pythons in their backyards. So as far as eating my dog, I don't have a dog, but you got a dog. As far as eating my children, I'm not really concerned about it. So I'm going to take that hype with a little bit of, a grain of salt.
Well, we even have rabid foxes across the bay here.
Yeah.
We had 2 cases in the last year of foxes testing positive with rabies. And still, that's not even...
But foxes aren't buzzworthy.
Yeah,
Let's not even talk about foxes.
That's not even over here, so...
Waste of time. Foxes. Yeah, so, but what's unfortunate is no matter which side of the political spectrum you're going to talk about, they're both going to be doing the same. The Democratic side is going to hope that this gets really bad, that they can blame it on Trump. But at the same time, Trump is going to turn around, and the Republican base are going to turn around and try to say that, look at all we're doing for it. And we're going to, and they're going to be pushing to, get a treatment or get a vaccine, so that in the eyes of the public, they look good. So we're using this hype train as a political tool, and it's being weaponized.
Yeah.
And the reality is, it doesn't matter which side of the fence you're on. It's silly either way to be politicizing something that is not a problem right here, right now.
Yeah, and I like to think that most people can see through that.
We hope.
Yeah, hopefully.
We hope.
But if it fits your agenda, obviously you're going to harp on it. You're going to get on social media and spark up some arguments, lose a few friends. You'll try to push your agenda. Either side. You're right. Either side.
So hopefully this helped you to get past some of the hype just a little bit and be thinking about things from a rational mind. And I want to finish on this one note. We almost forgot it. I want to finish on this one note. This is the most important thing that you can know. Okay, this is the telltale of every situation. Okay, if you look at the grand scheme of life, there is one thing that is important, and that's that your internal resistance is greater than your external influence. Did you get that?
Yeah.
External influence does not matter as much as your internal resistance. The internal resistance is always the thing that matters, because if I take an egg and I'm holding an egg and I kind of pat the egg, as long as that structure, is sound. As long as that egg holds on, it's not going to break. But if I take that egg and I smash it on your head, and I've got enough external influence to overcome that internal resistance, that egg is going to break.
Yeah.
So what should we be focusing on?
Strengthening the egg?
Strengthening the egg.
Yeah.
We should be focusing on health. We should be focusing on not what the sick people are doing, but what are the healthy people doing? This is like a broken record. We talk about the same thing all the time. It doesn't matter what Zika, shingles, measles, it doesn't matter what it is. It always comes down to the same thing. If you are a product of your environment, and so you have to manage your environment. You have to manage your external environment. You have to manage your internal environment. If you guys have not watched, I'm going to highly recommend you get on and you watch the movie Dark Waters that just came out. We just watched that over the weekend. Fantastic movie, and it talks about, and it's a new release, but it talks about the issue that came out with Teflon. And how they hid all the science and everything for decades. And this went from the 1970s to 2009.
Yeah.
And of course, I think we still see Teflon on the market.
You still do, yeah.
But you just go to see the power that comes in with money and how that manipulates everything. And we see the same problem everywhere else. And so you have to be your own. And this was a line from the movie. You have to worry about you. Nobody else is going to worry about you. You have to worry about you. He says, here I've been dealing with this all this time, and an uneducated farmer is the one that told me, and I thought he was crazy, but he's the one that told me only you can worry about you.
Yeah. Guess I should watch that movie now.
Oh, that's fun. You don't watch movies. Come on.
You're right. You're right.
So, but watch that movie for real. So you've got to worry about you. That's what it comes down to. You've got to be educated. You've got to be persistent. You've got to manage yourself. You've got to manage your family. You've got to know what are you doing to yourself and putting in your body and putting on your body and everything else, because everybody's looking to make money off of you. And so if you don't know what you're putting in you can't trust the people who are selling you stuff. So do things that produce health in your body, because that's what produces internal resistance, so that when this kind of stuff comes around, you can take the opportunity while the vacations are cheap and take one.
Right, and I've seen videos of people buying up toilet paper. Guys, there's no reason to fight over toilet paper. That seems to be the first thing everyone's reaching for this time around. That and hand sanitizer. People are buying Tito's vodka as hand sanitizer now because stores are selling out. So I'm sure the toilet paper companies are quite happy.
I wonder if Corona beer would work as well, because there's plenty of that around.
I'm sure they're taking a great hit just from the name of the virus.
All right, guys. Well, that's it for tonight. We're going to cut it off there. For the record, we're going to be throwing these in here in the mix in the place of a lot of our future workshops, because obviously the audience is just a little bit bigger. When we get into the social media realm, and we're going to be putting this onto our YouTube channel and everything else. But if you have any questions, if you have any comments, of course you can post them in the comments. We'll try to get to you. If you have an individual question, you don't want it to be in the public space, of course you can message us. You can contact the office. We'll help you with anything that you can. But we just want to be here to guide you, and give you resources that you can begin to think about and think differently on. So have a great night, and if you have anything else, let us know.
Yep.